Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dennis and this is Average Gaming, and welcome back to Average Teaches Randomizing Pokemon, this time Generation 2. I decided on the format of these videos a little while back, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically pretend that the previous videos don't exist. I'm going to fully explain how to use the emulator, or how to use the randomizer every single time. So that way if you're looking for, intricacies that are only part of this generation, that's what you're getting. With that in mind, let's go ahead and begin with our Generation 2 randomizer. So, once again, in order to randomize the Generation 2 game, which is a Game Boy Color version of the game, there are two randomizers that I'm aware of. Well, I think I know of a few more, but these are the only two that I've ever practiced with. So, Universal Pokemon Randomizer version 1.7.2 was originally released on July 23rd, 2016, and hasn't been updated for anything past Generation 5. It is missing several mechanics that are available in the other one, Pokemon ZX version 4.2.1, which was released on July 6th, 2021. It is much more current, much more updated. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to focus on that one. The best way to launch it is with launcher_windows.bat. You might not see the .bat depending on your settings, but launcher windows is the best way. So just go ahead and double click that. It opens up a command prompt window, which then runs the program, which looks like this. Now, I'm going to quickly go over the various tabs, and then we will discuss each one in depth. So, starting off, we have Pokemon traits, then starters, statics, and trades, moves and movesets, Bow Pokemon, Wild Pokemon, TMs, HMs, and Tutors, items, and Miscellaneous Tweaks. We're going to go ahead and start with Pokemon traits. Pokemon base statistics is basically the idea of randomizing their base stat totals. You really kind of don't want to do that. Also, before I forget, let me open up one of the ROMs. We're going to open up Crystal versions. This is the most recent one. And this one will set it so that way it's only focusing on Generation 2 and what is capable there. So, sorry, I should have started with that. So, Pokemon base statistics, as I said, is randomizing base stat totals. If you shuffle it, then an attack stat might be replaced with the defense stat, and the speed might be replacing the HP and stuff like that. So, I don't recommend doing that unless you really want chaos. Have fun with that. You can also update the base stats to a certain generation. It will not add new Pokemon, and it does not split the special and special attack and special defense in Generation 1. You don't have to worry about that. You can also standardize the XP curves, which means Pokemon will fall generally into a few categories rather than, I think there's like 6 different categories. Again, not something I usually play with. Fine. Pokemon types. Following evolutions means that if you randomize types, and Weedle, who's up here, the little display picture, if Weedle becomes a Steel Dark type, then the likelihood of Kakuna being a Steel Dark type is much greater. There's no chance that it's going to be Fire Dragon because it doesn't share one of the types. The evolution will share one of the two types held by the previous evolution. Random completely means that yes, Weedle could be Fire and Steel or anything else, and then Kakuna could be Dragon and Ice. It's completely random, the evolutions don't matter, and each Pokemon's going to have its own unique typing. Pokemon evolutions. If you randomize Pokemon evolutions, it means that Weedle might evolve into Dragonite. So, that's the thing. If you do that, you can set similar things, so its evolution would be of a similar strength, meaning that Weedle could evolve into Metapod rather than Kakuna. The same typing means it'll evolve into another bug type, as the example of Weedle, so it could evolve into Scyther rather than Beedrill. You can limit it to 3 stages, which means no matter what it evolves into, it won't evolve after the second time. So the way, if you don't have that clicked and you have random evolutions, Weedle could evolve into Nidoran male, You then use a Moonstone on either end male, and it becomes a Magikarp, who then reaches level 20 and evolves into Dratini, who then evolves into Dragon Knight. I ran out of examples. So it could be an infinite, depending on their evolutions. So limiting it to 3 stages, probably the best idea. Force change means every evolution will be randomized to something different than what is originally. That's the same thing. Oh, in the randomized version, evolutions are mostly unrestricted unless you check some boxes to the right, but the XP curves must match. Okay, so a Pokemon that has a slow XP curve won't evolve into a Pokemon with a fast XP curve. That way the XP values don't get messed up and it suddenly shoots up 6 levels, you know? Change in possible evolutions is very good, very basic. A lot of people do that one. If you're playing on an emulator, you want to do that. Sometimes even if you're just playing the base game, you want to put it through the randomizer and change that, because then that means Kadabra, Machoke, Golem, Graveler will evolve into evolutions by level up or by certain items rather than a trait evolution. Making evolutions easier essentially means that, you know, Pokemon evolve earlier. Dragonite will now evolve by level 40 rather than 55 or 52 or whatever it was. And removing time-based evolutions means that Umbreon and Eevee will evolve into Umbreon and Espeon through some other method, which I think is usually the Sun and Moonstones, rather than time. So that's that. Next up, we're going to move to starters, statics, and trades. So very simple. Starters. You can custom your starter. You can pick any 3 that you want, and that's your Pokemon. So now I said it's a Croconaw, Sudowoodo, and Typhlosion. You can randomize their held item, and you can ban bad items. So that way you don't get things like berries and mail. You can make it a completely random thing, which means you could get Mewtwo, Lugia, and Weedle. Or you can make it a random basic Pokemon with 2 evolutions, such as the Nidorans, the Pidgey line, the Weedle line, stuff like that. That's typically what I do for a bit of extra challenge, but random completely is a lot more fun. Static Pokemon, you can randomize, you know, to swap the legends and standards. You can make it completely random, so your Lugia could become a Pidgey, your, you know, I don't know. I don't really know what statics exist for non-legendary Pokemon, but like a random Pidgey that you find in the overworld as a static could become Lugia. I don't know. And random similar strength means that if you do that, it will randomize Lugia to maybe Tyranitar. It's not a legendary, but it has a similar base stat total. Something like that. I typically just do random completely. You can randomize it so that way all Pokemon with a base stat total over 600 will be forced to pure random. And you can also give them a level boost or decrease, so you can make it so the statics are more powerful or less powerful. In-game trades, there are 2 options here. You can randomize just the given Pokemon, meaning that they will still request the same Pokemon. So, I can't think of examples, but say the trade originally is Weedle for Onix. If you randomize the given Pokemon, they'll still request Weedle, but give you Mewtwo. And if you do both requested and given Pokemon, that means they'll request Steelix for Ho-Ho. I don't know. Something like that, you know? You can randomize the nickname so that way when you get it, I think there's Rocky the Onyx is one of them. He'll no longer be called Rocky. Be Rocky, whatever the hell it is normally. This will just make it so it's a randomized nickname. You can randomize the OTs, the IVs, and the items that they hold. I typically click all of this just to make it more exciting and random. Next up, we have moves and move sets. So, right off the bat, we'll start with move data. Randomized move power means that a Pokemon move like Tackle that does 40 base damage could now be 20. It could be 75. It could be 120. It could be 30. Some random integer like that, but it will always be positive. Randomized move accuracy is the same thing, but for the accuracy. The move PP is the same thing, but for its power points. And randomized move types means that tackle, normally a normal type attack, could now be a steel type attack. So again, gets into the nitty gritty, kind of changes up a lot. I would save that for your chaos runs. Update moves to generation whatever. I think we can up it all the way to 8. We'll take data from like Cerebi or Bulbapedia or something and update their move set to the most current generation that you select. I typically don't bother doing that because I like to keep it in generation. Pokemon move sets. You can of course randomize it and prefer the same typing, so that way, you know, if you're supposed to learn Ember, you might learn Flamethrower. Random completely means that if you're supposed to learn Ember, you could be learning Tackle, something like that. Completely random. Metronome only means that the only move your Pokemon will ever learn is Metronome. All wild Pokemon will also only have Metronome. Trainer Pokemon also only have Metronome. So that's really chaos because you don't even know what you're gonna get. You don't know what they're gonna get. It's crazy. I don't mess with movesets very often. However, the options, if you were to do that, is to guarantee a number of level 1 moves. Most Pokemon generally have 2 or 3 level 1 moves. With this, you can guarantee that they have 4. Which means you will always, no matter when you get to Pokemon, start with 4 moves, even if it hatches from an egg. Reorder damaging moves means that you will more frequently get the weaker moves early on in the game, and then the stronger moves later on in the game. No game-breaking moves means that you won't get things like Dragon Rage or Sonic Boom, as those are considered game-breaking because they do a static amount of damage that can never be reduced. And forced percentage of good damaging moves means that out of a move pool of, say, 20 moves, 15 will be good damaging moves, however percentage you set it. I can set it to 100, so I never learn things like Tail Whip and Leer and stuff like that. Again, I typically don't mess with any of this because I don't randomize movesets. Next up, we have Faux Pokemon. These are your trainer Pokemon. So, right off the bat, you have Unchanged. Very obvious what that does, I'm not going to bother explaining it to you. Random means that they will have a random sort of Pokemon. Type themes mean that they will pick a type, so your bug catcher might become a black belt and use only fighting type Pokemon. And random even distribution essentially means that it will work the list so that way it's less likely you encounter the same Pokemon multiple times back to back. So you won't go to a bug catcher who has Pikachu, Pikachu, Pikachu. You could have Pikachu, Typhlosion, Togepi. Something like that. I do random completely, it's more fun. Rival carry starter throughout the entire game means that if you randomize the starter Pokemon, and even if you don't randomize the starter Pokemon, whichever Pokemon they pick, the slot. So, you know, if 1 is Bulbasaur, 2 is Charmander, and 3 is Squirtle, and you pick Charmander, it'll pick the Squirtle slot. And so then whatever Pokemon was in that slot, if you randomized it, if you didn't randomize it, it will always have that on its team, leveling it up as it goes. So if it was Weedle, you know, when you fight him right before the league, he's going to have a Beedrill on his team now. Something like that. Try to use Pokemon of similar strength is, again, pretty similar to everything else. It'll try and keep the base stat totals around the same. So I think a first form starter has around like 300 something for a base stat total. It'll try and pick a Pokemon that's pretty close to that. If you use type themed, it will weight it by the number of types on the team. And don't use legendaries obviously means that your rival and trainer Pokemon and random trainers won't have legendary Pokemon. You can't have your rival pull up a Mewtwo in Route 2. Randomized trainer names means that instead of facing rival Blue, you might be facing Schoolgirl Dylan. I don't know. Sorry, that's just the trainer name. So instead of your rival Blue, it would be rival Dylan. If you randomize the trainer class names, then you end up with Last Dylan. Force Fully Evolved means that once they reach this level in the game, it'll force all the trainers in that area, or beyond that level, to have a fully evolved team. Which means if I set it to 30, once the trainers in the area reach level 30, they will no longer be carrying Pidgeys, Weedles, and Kakunas. They'll have Pidgeotos, Beedrills, and whatever, you know? I usually set that to about 45 because that's generally right before the league. That's like 2 or 3 gyms before the league. Percentage level modifier means that you could increase or decrease by a percentage. So if I did this, it would decrease everything by 10%. So a level 10 trainer would now have a level 9 Pokemon. But if I up it, then he now has a level 11 Pokemon. Stuff like that. Next up, wild Pokemon. Again, the random is completely random. You understand how that works by now. Area 1-to-1 mapping means that each time a Pokemon appears in a encounter table in a specific area. So Route 101, say, I don't know, and I'm not trying to be specific, I'm just giving examples, so forgive my knowledge if this is wrong. Say on Route 1 there's, a pond that you can fish in, and there's a patch of grass that you can walk through. And say for some reason the water Pokemon appear in the grass. Say you can find Wooper in the grass, but you can also fish up a Wooper. Both those Wooper encounters would be randomized to the same thing. So, say the Wooper in the grass got randomized to Charizard. You'll also be able to fish up a Charizard in place of that Wooper. Global 1-to-1 mapping essentially means that anytime you find a Pokemon, it will be randomized to that. So if Wooper appears on routes 1, 2, and 3, then Charizard appears on routes 1, 2, and 3 in place of that Wooper. So that can get really crazy. I prefer random completely because then you can just go absolutely crazy, and it also leads to a lot more variety on your teams if you're doing a randomizer Nuzlocke. Additional rules: similar strength, again, as we've discussed. Catch 'em all mode. If this turns on every random Pokemon chosen, replacing entirely one that hasn't been chosen before. So basically that means that it won't repeat an encounterable Pokemon until it's already done all of them. So if Route 1 has, a certain number of Pokemon, and then a certain number of Pokemon, and then a certain number of Pokemon, none of those encounters will be a repeat of an area until it's shown you at least every possible Pokemon once. Not specifically shown you, but put it on the encounter table. So if we're going to go with 150 Pokemon, and if there's 25 encounterable routes, and there's 10 Pokemon per route, and that means there'll be 15 routes that go through the original 150, and then every route after that could then have a random different Pokemon that wasn't on the previous routes. It won't show you, it won't randomize I'm overly complicating this. Essentially, it means you will see every Pokemon on the encounter table at least once before you see a repeat. If you look at the encounter table. I'm sorry, that's getting complicated. I'm going to move on now. I'm sorry. Type themed area means that Route 1 might only have flying Pokemon. Route 2 might only have bug Pokemon, and Route 3 might only have water type Pokemon. Stuff like that. I don't usually do any of those. Use time-based encounters means that when you randomize the Pokemon, certain Pokemon will only appear during the day, and certain Pokemon will only appear during the night. And it will change depending on what time of day. Don't use legendaries means that you can't find Mewtwo, Ho-Oh, and Lugia in the grass. Lame, boring, nobody likes that. Let yourself find a Ho-Oh in Route 1. Set the minimum catch rate essentially helps you catch the Pokemon. A minimum catch rate of 1 means that a normal Pokemon has a 30% chance of being caught at low HP. Level 2, you buff the encounter rates a little bit, so there's a 50% chance for a normal Pokemon at low HP. Super is an 80% chance, and maximum level 4 means that every single Pokeball you throw has the same encounter rate as a Master Ball. So, again, boring. Randomize held items means that every random Pokemon that can hold an item will randomly hold a different item. So you could find a Pidgey holding a Master Ball, or you could find a Mewtwo holding a Oranberry. So, ban bad items. If you have the randomized items, means they won't hold berries or mail. Percentage level modifier, again, as before, you can increase and decrease the percentage that the Pokemon are changed in each wild area. Moving on to TMs, HMs, and Tutors. Generation 2 introduced Tutors for the first time. There was no Tutors in Generation 1. So, we will be able to discuss that this time. TMs and HM moves Random means that all of the TMs that you find, if you find TM1, which is, say, supposed to be Mega Punch, it could now be Water Gun. It could be Dragon Rage. Unless we click on no game-breaking moves, which means no TM will be Dragon Rage or Sonic Boom and stuff like that. Keep field move TMs will mean that if you find Dig somewhere in the game specifically, that TM that you find in that area will still be Dig. Force percentage of good damaging moves, that when it randomizes the TMs, there'll still be a decent chance of them being damaging moves depending on what percentage you use. TM HM compatibility, this is fairly straightforward. Random prefer same typing means that if there's a chance that your Pokemon could learn a move, there's a greater chance if it's of their same typing. So if TM1 becomes Ember and you try and teach it to a Squirtle, there's a lesser chance that he'll know how to learn it, but a Charizard will have a greater chance of being able to learn that TM. Random completely means there's basically a 50% chance at any given time for a Pokemon to be able to learn a TM or an HM. Full compatibility means that every single Pokemon will be able to learn every single TM and HM. Full HM compatibility, if we were to just set this to random. Let me start from the top. TM level up move sanity means that if one of the TMs gets randomized to Ember, all the fire type starters that learn Ember naturally in their moveset will be able to learn it from the TM as well. While evolutions means that if Charmander gets randomized to be able to learn Water Gun, Charmeleon and Charizard could also learn Water Gun by TM. And full HM compatibility, which is pretty much the only way you'll beat the game while playing on a Randomizer Nuzlocke, means that every single Pokemon can learn every single HM. Very important to do if you want to be able to progress through the game in a Randomizer. Move Tutor moves. Move Tutors have a limited number of moves, but you can randomize those, and again, you can make them non-game breaking moves only. You can keep the field move tutor, so if somebody taught you Headbutt, which you can use in the overworld by headbutting trees in Generation 2, then they'll still teach you Headbutt. And again, you can force a good percentage of them to be good damaging moves. Move Tutor compatibility is the same thing as the HMs, TMs. Random completely prefer the same typing means that Charmander has a better chance of being tutored to learn Ember than Squirtle does. Random completely means you have a 50% chance. Full compatibility means that you can learn them all the time, guaranteed. And again, with the TM level up move sanity means that if your Pokemon learns to move by level up, but say you've caught it too late and it doesn't know it anymore, or you want to get it early, then yes, you can. You can absolutely learn that TM tutor if your Pokemon learns to move naturally. And then follow evolution is the same as before. If I was to teach, Squirtle Ember through a TM, then Wartortle and Blastoise could also learn it. Moving on to the next thing, items. Very simple here. Shuffle essentially takes every single item that is available to be found on the ground, the little Pokeball that you find on the ground, and shuffles their positions. So early game, you will find a lot of potions, antidotes, Pokeballs, stuff like that. Well, those got shuffled, and now they're Ultra Balls, Super Potions, and berries, because you can find berries on the ground sometimes too. Random completely means that they randomize them. That Pokeball is now a Master Ball. The Hyper Potions in late game become berries. Random even distribution means that there's less of a chance of finding the same item multiple times in a row. And banning bad items means you won't find berries, mail, stuff like that. Stuff that's, easy to find and repeatable. And finally, the miscellaneous tweaks available in Generation 2. Once again, we have the black and white experience patch, which means if you beat a Pokemon of a higher level than your Pokemon, you will get more experience. If you beat a Pokemon of lower level, you will get less experience. Fastest text means that the text will appear on the screen at the fastest possible rendering rate. Lowercase Pokemon names is an aesthetic thing, but a lot of people do it just because it makes more sense to have Bulbasaur rather than Bulbasaur. Randomized catch tutorial means that when you are taught to catch Pokemon, there's a chance that it could be randomized into the old man catching Mewtwo in a single Pokeball after hitting it with a frickin' Weedle one time. And banning the Lucky Egg essentially means that there's no chance you can find the Lucky Egg item, which gives you an increase to your experience when held. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is how you randomize Generation 2 of Pokemon. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments. I'll do my best to help everybody out with this because it is my sincerest goal that this tutorial is helpful. If you feel that I covered very little in this, or if you feel you need a greater explanation than what can be done through just a normal message, on a comment. Feel free to join the Discord, which you can find in the link below, and I will happily teach you one-on-one, because I really hope that this helps. You know, I do these videos not just for an ego boost or to get views. I do it because I generally think it is needed, because when I was starting out playing Pokemon and wanted to do randomizers, it was incredibly difficult for me to find a good tutorial on how to randomize a Pokemon game. So hopefully this video has helped, and if you decide to start making content based around the videos that I've taught you, please feel free to let me know. I would genuinely like to see it. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. And as always, game on.